Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Medical Myths, the show where we talk about what not to do with your body. And today I have a special guest, Johnathan. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience?
I am Jonathan. I also go by Dishonest Ape on Twitter if you ever want to find me there. And I am a business major completing my master's in business management and leadership. My previous bachelor's was in business management with a focus in marketing. So, yeah, I do not have the same qualifications that Ben does to speak on medical issues. I am tangential to the medical industry. I do insurance coding for a dental office and have some knowledge on account of that, but I'm going to defer to just Ben on anything that involves medical knowledge because I
But
can be
it's
wrong.
but it's going to be great because we're going to talk today about a very dubious business practice that kind of overlaps both of our fields. But before we get into that, where can my audience find you?
You can find me as the Dungeon Master for Nat One Heroes at twitch.tv/Nat One Heroes. That's one spelled out. And you can also find me on nat1heroes.com. And it doesn't matter if you type it or you spell it out because I'm a business major and I thought of that.
That's awesome. And links can be found in the description box below. So be sure to go check out Nat One Heroes. Also, shameless plug that tomorrow I will be DMing on Nat One Heroes.
It is going to
So
be great. Uh, Mikey came down with an illness I don't quite know about called Mirage. He got miraged and he's
Mirage. I accidentally muted you. Sorry.
okay. I thought
I
you
was
just
told
didn't
to
like my
adjust your
joke.
volume and I hit the wrong button.
Ah,
Live. Okay, actually, you're
was it
up
too
as
loud
high
from
as I
last time I was
can. I
on?
might need you to move closer to your mic, maybe.
I mean,
I don't know if it did anything. Well, we'll make it work. The joys of live streaming.
is that as high
Um,
as I can go?
I've got you as high as I can get you.
Okay.
Um, but while we were figuring out mic issues,
Well, if that's the problem,
we
maybe lower yourself and the audience can turn their volume up. Just
we
get
can
us
do that.
matching.
I'll just move my mic a little bit. Okay, so today we're going to talk about homeopathy, which is a very dubious business practice. So it's great that we have Johnathan on here to talk about kind of what these people are gaining from being homeopaths and running this kind of business. But we're going to cover this from kind of a few different angles. And I wanted to start off by kind of showing the audience what exactly is homeopathy. So I have a little article here that I'm going to pull up, and it's from the NIH. So homeopathy, what you need to know. We're just going to cover like what is homeopathy so we can get you all up to speed. So homeopathy is a medical system that was developed in Germany more than 200 years ago, and it's based on two unconventional theories. Like cures like. The notion that a disease can be cured by a substance that produces similar symptoms in healthy people. So what they'll do with this, they'll take something that causes a symptom, which is very odd. They pick something that causes a symptom that you have. Like if you have a headache, they'll find a plant that also causes headaches, and then they'll take this and going to the next point, they'll use the law of minimum dose, which is not a law. Laws in science are like the highest thing you can have. And this is definitely not consistent with anything that we see in science. But you take this compound that produces a symptom and you dilute it as far as it can go, because supposedly the lower the dose, the more potent it is, which is not consistent at all with what we see. But this is what they do in homeopathy. And my concerns with the validity of homeopathy and the practice of homeopathy is very different than how I feel about naturopathy. So a naturopath is going to take these compounds and they're just going to give them to people. And my concern with naturopaths is that plants have they have toxicities and they have drug interactions and they have an actual mechanism that they can do damage with. And so that's my problem with naturopaths. But homeopaths, it's a different concern because they dilute these compounds so much that there's nothing there. There's like maybe a molecule left over in the actual compound that you're taking. So you're taking a water pill or a sugar pill. And so I'm not going to say necessarily that I think that homeopathy is going to hurt you in the sense that it's going to cause interactions in your body. It's going to hurt you because if you choose to use this instead of receiving actual medicine, you're literally just getting a placebo. Do you have any thoughts on that specifically?
Just clearly that's bunk. The whole thing is bunk. Clearly the whole thing is bunk from beginning to end. But I have to follow up. Is that where they take a substance and they dilute it in water, and then they take the diluted stuff and they put that in water and they dilute that, and then they dilute that in more water to the point that you have maybe 1 parts per million?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So they just dilute it and they
So
dilute it and dilute it, and
wouldn't
then
we
you
just
agitate it. So you stir it, and supposedly water has memory. So the water
so when I
picks up
drink
the
water, I'm drinking Velociraptor pee because
yeah,
it
yeah,
remembers
because
being
it has
Velociraptor pee.
memory, and the more you agitate it, the more the memory gets like stored in the water, and that's how you get it to be
What
so
is
potent.
the proposed mechanism by which water remembers things?
I don't know. You assume that these people know
I'm
science.
not. I just want you to say that they're stupid. I want to hear that. Like I'm
They
ready to
yeah,
hear that right now.
it's absolute bunk. It's not a thing that's legitimate. But I think where we're gonna go with this is first off, we're gonna talk about what a visit to a homeopath looks like. Because I actually found this article, and they do a little case study here about what you can expect from seeing a homeopath. What does it mean? Like, what are they going to do? How are they going to diagnose you, and how are they going to treat you? So they use a lot of very vague language here, and I guess I'll kind of read through this. So you get what is the initial evaluation like? So the initial evaluation will be at least an hour and perhaps 2 or 3 hours long. My God, that is a long time. The homeopath will spend that time trying to understand your particular symptoms. In addition to asking about your physical, mental, and emotional complaints or challenges, the practitioner will try to learn what makes the symptoms better or worse, what kind of foods you crave. Wow, what kind of foods you crave, what your sleep patterns are like, the content and patterns of your dream interpretation, your major fears, weather preferences, and more. The homeopath will probably also ask you to give specific descriptions of your sensations. I don't think my homeopath wants to know about my sensations. Um, I think they're. One client reported that the pain in his abdomen felt like a live animal growling.
And
Okay,
that's helpful?
okay. Some of these questions are actually questions that we do ask in conventional medicine.
It,
Like we do ask you the quality of your pain.
I
Like
I get that, but why is that example in there?
that
Like what
example's
does that example
terrible.
do? That
That example's terrible because I don't care about your stomach growling. Like I care about the quality of your pain in
like
terms of
I
like
don't
is it a sharp pain? Is it a dull pain? Does it come and go? Does it radiate anywhere? Like we ask these questions and they're very important, but it's also not going to take 3 hours of your time at most. Like a good physician, granted I'm a medical student so I take a bit more time. So with a first visit with somebody, it might take me an hour to get through their history and physical and everything, but I'm slow. Like an experienced physician can do this in 15 minutes or less and do a
yeah,
pretty thorough
but
job.
I'm just looking at
But
this and like what part of my ability to talk like a discount dollar store Mary Shelley makes me getting my point across better? Like
I don't understand how my weather preferences, like what that has to do with my physiology. Like I like rainy weather. Does that mean I'm a depressed person? I don't know.
I
Like
I put on weight in the summer because I don't want to do anything and then I lose it in the fall. Like
yeah, I'm confused about this. And dream interpretation is something else. I I don't even know what to do with this. So how does the homeopath choose the remedy?
Oh, this.
So once the homeopath gathers all of your information, he or she, note theys, because non-binary people know better than to choose homeopathy, will review your data looking for patterns. These patterns will guide the homeopath to a homeopathic remedy that has a similar symptom pattern. So they are literally pattern seeking and literally symptom seeking. So they're not addressing the actual underlying condition. They're addressing the symptoms and finding things that have similar symptoms. This does not sound like medicine to me. It does not sound like a diagnostic thought process to me.
This sounds like, you watched The Secret of Nim or something like that, and you thought it was really cool watching those rat hands grind up a medicine, and you wanted to do that.
This sounds like what I would get from going to WebMD, where it just says cancer, cancer, cancer. Like, yeah, obviously it's cancer. Like, this sounds like WebMD is kind of the vibes I'm getting from this. But it's WebMD for, like, it's like a mood ring plus WebMD is what I'm getting with this.
There seems to be a lot of intuition going on here that
Yeah.
scares me.
So the homeopath will likely go through a process of repertorization, cross-referencing all your symptoms and repertorization. Is repertoire a verb? I think they're trying to make repertoire a verb.
I think they made that one up. I think homeopathy.
I think so, because I don't know. If anyone in the chat knows English better than I do, I've not studied linguistics or English or anything. So, like,
literally, this is. I'm only getting hits for homeopathy. Like,
okay, so it is a made up term. Got it.
At some point, I mean, all things were made up at some point, but this is an egregious make-up award.
So they cross-reference your symptoms in books called the Materia Medica. So they have this fancy Latin term to make them sound like they know what they're talking about, which has the various remedies and their characteristic symptoms. These symptoms are identified in provings.
That's a strong word.
Yeah, like literally they're doing like a matching thing where it's like this plant causes these symptoms, and then these symptoms go with this disease. So let's just cross them together, and then we can.
This sounds like medicine for people who were disappointed that alchemy didn't prove fruitful.
It's basically alchemy. This is alchemy in medicine. Absolutely. I'm very confused about how anybody with a brain can think this is legitimate.
I don't know. I don't know.
So I don't know if I need to really read the rest of this, because it basically just goes over the same kind of stuff about, like, they cross-match the stuff and then they recommend a combination for you to optimize your treatment, and then they, like, reassess. But, like, literally these treatments do nothing. But I do want to look over this case study that they have.
Look at the case analysis. Oh, dear God. The first word is rectum. Diarrhea from fear with internal heat and cold.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I want to read the case, because this is something else. So you have somebody. I'm just gonna give a little summary, I guess, because this is long. So you have a high school freshman who's been diagnosed with IBS. IBS is a diagnosis of exclusion, and there's really not a lot you can do about it. So this person has been using the bathroom a lot, gets a lot of nausea and diarrhea symptoms, and she also, I guess, has some panic attacks in the evenings, and then is also very irritable a lot of the time, doesn't do well with other people, also has rough menstrual periods. So, I mean, we have some things going on here, but this person doesn't need a homeopath. This person, also, keep in mind, this person's a freshman in high school. She's probably going through puberty. Puberty is a rough time on your emotions for anybody. I don't think, like, I definitely would say she probably needs a psychologist or a psychiatrist or like definitely some kind of mental health therapy, because that would be very beneficial, especially the adjustment of going to high school, the adjustment of going through puberty. And like, sure, there might be some symptoms of depression here and anxiety, but those need to be evaluated by a mental health professional. You can't just medicate it with a sugar pill and just like be good to go. You need to carefully monitor this stuff. So that's kind of dangerous that they're trying to treat her there. But their little case analysis here. Oh, and she also, I guess, has seasonal allergies and frequent strep ear infections and sinusitis, and takes antibiotics for those, which, like, I mean, there's not a whole lot you're going to do about that. There might be some underlying causes there as well. But in their case analysis, they is based on the following interpretation of the case and repertorization of the major points, the remedy pulsatilla was selected. And I don't know what pulsatilla is. But they dilute it so much that I don't really care, because it's probably nothing. So we have, they literally just, oh, it's pretty flower. Good. So they literally just go through and list the symptoms. And the fact they say rectum, diarrhea from fear with internal heat and external coldness of body. So coldness is not a thing. Coldness is an absence of heat. So you can use temperature to help make diagnoses in terms of like inflammatory processes usually produce heat. But like, and diarrhea from fear, like when we write up our assessment of plan, we do, it is helpful to write the assessment, and then along with what is secondary to, like, diarrhea secondary to irritable bowel syndrome. That is how I would write this. Diarrhea secondary to fear is not legitimate.
So, looked up pulsatilla.
Okay.
It's a toxic plant. Yeah. Misuse can cause diarrhea, vomiting and convulsions, hypotension, and coma. And
I would normally be worried about that if they weren't diluting it to the point that it's non-existent.
It was used by the Blackfoot tribe, tribe of Native Americans, to induce abortions.
Oh, good.
It looks like medically it does have some uses of plant extract as a sedative.
Okay.
Premenstrual syndrome and epididymitis.
Okay. But I mean, these people are using it in such diluted concentrations that,
I mean,
like,
at that point, you'd
irrelevant.
hope they dilute it to the point that
it's
irrelevant.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they don't,
that's the only way they can get away with using this kind of stuff. Because, yeah, I would absolutely have a problem with people using that for treatment. But good thing they're diluting it. But I think this is definitely a placebo.
Get diarrhea from it, does the homeopath say it just wasn't strong enough? So they got to dilute it more to make it stronger so that you get less diarrhea from the diarrhea causing thing?
See, that's actually a really good point. Because, yeah, if they're inducing diarrhea with this plant, and then they dilute it more to make it more powerful, and then your diarrhea stops because you stop taking this diarrhea-inducing plant, then they can say that they treated you.
Yeah.
So they are giving you a problem, potentially, and then taking away the problem, and then saying it was the homeopathy that treated you, when really taking away the homeopathy was what did it.
Okay. Her symptoms are listed as fear of the opinion of others and of being humiliated. And, like, freshman year of high school, like, I understand there are levels of that, and, like, some are more distressing than others, but
same thing with intolerant of contradictions. I mean, when you're a kid, like, I mean, you're argumentative with everybody. At least I was. I mean, going back up here to the like main parts of the case that they're addressing, we have the diarrhea from fear, which we already said was a stretch. Then we have mind, anxiety, and difficult respiration, which, I mean, if you have panic attacks, you might have tachypnea. You can deal with that by not breathing so fast or by treating the anxiety, which they're not doing. They're not treating any of that. Nausea is from the pain in the abdomen. So like it would be nausea secondary to IBS, and along with that pain, abdominal pain secondary to IBS is how I would write this. Generals, cold. Oh yeah, cold air makes them feel better and must have windows open. That's not a bad thing. I don't see that as being a problem. Like sleeping with the window open, I don't see that as a problem.
And based on the treatment and follow-up rating I'm reading here, I'd like to know if this is even a real case, first of all. But I'd also like to know if
Yep.
she was being seen by an actual doctor concurrent with this.
I have some thoughts on this,
Mhm.
actually. And I'm glad we're getting to this. So Molly took the dose of pulsatilla 200C, and the C is like that's the dilution that they used. 10 days later, her mom reported that Molly had become a much happier child. She had no anxiety at night anymore. She was going out with friends and functioning well. She only had one wave of nausea and a few hours of mild intestinal cramping, but was able to sleep them off. And then talk about getting rid of her diarrhea and stuff. So I do think the anxiety, some of it can be due to, like, it might be due to placebo effect, or it might be due to the fact that, like, if she was seeing a therapist or if she was getting some extra help, like Johnathan was saying, but also addressing the abdominal symptoms. IBS often is characterized by mixed bowel habits. So IBS for a lot of people presents in waves of diarrhea and constipation, and then you might have periods of feeling normal. So you have a 10-day period where she's not having nausea, and then what was like a month of no diarrhea. That's not enough time really for the cycle to even go through. Like that's normal for people with IBS to have cyclical bowel habits. So you might have diarrhea for a month and then you might not have diarrhea for the next month. And that's how it presents for a lot of people. So
Well, I mean, it does talk
I,
about how 5 months after the initial dose, she had another bout of diarrhea and anxiety.
yeah, there you go. Like it's IBS is cyclical.
But also, she took another dose of the pulsatilla, and
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot at play here, and I don't think the homeopathy was responsible for her feeling better,
and
unless it was placebo effect.
again, if this is even a real case.
Oh yeah, I have my doubts, but I also I could see this potentially being a real case, but they're just not disclosing all of the information. They're not disclosing the other variables associated. Like, yeah, they didn't mention her
No,
diet. They
because
didn't mention.
this isn't a
Yeah,
case study. This is a sales pitch.
yeah, absolutely. This is so. Let's since I have you here, uh, let's address kind of the business side of this article and what they're doing by
So,
presenting things this way.
what this article is fundamentally is marketing. This is marketing. This is a bit of my wheelhouse. And in marketing, you have an acronym that's called VRIN. Are you at all familiar with that?
I am not.
Okay, so it's four things. Four things: valuable, uh, rare, immutable, and what was the other one? Non-substitutable. That's it. And it's your measure of your product to determine how successful you can be marketing what you are selling. And the thing is, in marketing, you don't sell the actual product in many ways.
Hmm.
What they are selling right now with this case study isn't the Prasatella, it isn't homeopathy itself. They are selling the idea of having control over your health, which the medical community, by and large, has failed to capitalize on because there are ethical concerns with
Hmm.
offering people complete control and claiming to have complete control over things. And actual fucking doctors care about ethics. So, what you have right here really is just taking advantage of scared people. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely. And the fact is, people don't like to hear an answer of, we don't have a treatment for this. It's not something that people want to hear, and I can see how it can be anxiety inducing for people to know that they don't have a way out of whatever it is they're dealing with. And the truth is, there are plenty of conditions that science just doesn't have a good answer to right now. And hopefully we can get answers to those in the future. But we have to be honest with people in medicine. If we don't have an answer, it's better to tell somebody, like, give them good expectations, give them true expectations about what they can do about their condition, and what they can expect in their future, they can expect their lifestyle to be. Because I don't think it's fair to set people up for false hope.
Yeah.
That's not what we aim to do.
But what you're talking about is the ethical path,
Mhm.
the path that puts good into the world. But it is so easy to make a few $1,000s off people who don't feel like they have control over their lives.
Yeah.
It's marketing itself has always been questionable in its ethics. This is not a noble profession by any means. And this isn't medicine. This is marketing. It fucking pisses me the hell off.
All right. Any other thoughts? Actually, no, there is something else I wanted to share with this, because they have down here, they have a reference, and I'm not going to go to that reference, but they have an expert contributor who's an MD.
Karen Lawson.
This is dubious. So, program director for the health coaching track, Center for Spirituality and Healing,
University of Minnesota.
So she's the past president of, okay, so she leads the integrative medical education efforts, teaches about shamanism, and she's the president of the American Holistic Medical Association and stuff. So, like, all these kind of BS things. So she studied shamanic, I don't know how to even say that, medicine for the past 10 years, has advanced training in homeopathy. So, she also does rites of passage and rituals for healing. So we have an MD who now these homeopaths can say, look, the doctors are on our side. They support us.
And
but
it
then you
mentions
have
nothing
these doctors.
about her medical skills.
Wait, what was that?
It mentions nothing about her medical skills.
Oh, yeah.
Like actually.
No, but we can tell that she is not a skeptic. She does not think about medicine in an objective way. She uses spirituality and shamanism, which, and I'm not saying that you need to entirely throw out somebody's cultural heritage. Like, if someone comes from a certain religion, like, it needs to be taken into consideration, because that can affect their goals and their values for treatment. You need to be cognizant of that and understanding when somebody might have different goals of therapy than you would. But that's different than supporting spiritual healing when you are a medical professional.
I wonder.
So this is scary that someone's doing this.
It's incredibly scary.
Johnathan's hardcore looking into something.
Nope, malpractice claims found for Virginia for her.
Okay. And it might be a thing where maybe she's
not actually practicing.
Well, I mean, that's potential. I mean, she might just be teaching.
Lecturing is what it sounds like.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's probably not. She might not even be teaching medicine anymore. She might just be teaching shamanism and ritual healing.
You take a look like that, I am sure she has not been consulted on the University of Minnesota's COVID-19 practices.
And look at up there at the top is exactly something that we were talking about, that taking charge of your health and well-being. That's a tagline that's going to resonate with a lot of people, and it's going to get people on their side.
Advantage. Yeah.
It is taking advantage of people. So with that, I think we're going to move on to the next article. Which one do you want to do next? Do you want to do the homeopathy proof is suppressed, or the 10 reasons to choose a homeopathic.
Yeah, can you drop the link for me in the private chat? And I think I want to go to the truth is suppressed one because
Okay, we'll do that one first, and then we'll finish off with the 10 reasons to choose homeopathy. So let me drop this, and I'll actually drop this in the public chat too, so y'all can look at it with us if you're so interested. All right, let me share the screen. Okay, so this is from a group in Australia called the Natural Health Hub, and they have a lot of fun stuff. I'll probably be debunking them for ages because they just have so much good content for me. But Johnathan specifically wanted to look at this article here. So
I was
would you
definitely
like
wanting
to
your
read
opinion
it?
on it. Health groups in Australia are up in arms because homeopathy proof has been suppressed yet again. A report that concluded homeopathy is effective was never published in 2012. That's I want to comment on that almost. Instead, the review was replaced by another report in 2015 that suggested homeopathy is ineffective and any benefits that are reported are due purely to placebo effect. So, there are lots of reasons studies don't get published.
Mm-hmm.
One of which that comes to mind immediately is that they fail to pass peer review.
Yep.
And it's I don't see anything in homeopathy passing peer review on any level.
Oh, absolutely. And something else too, this assumption that because something was in a study, that means that there's significance to it, or that it's going to, I don't know, change the way we think about medicine or anything. You can have a study that shows that there's no significance between things. You can have a study that even goes through peer review and just says, hey, we don't know enough yet. And that's a totally legitimate result of a study. And if you're not reading the study and not reading what the study is actually saying, you might be quoting a study that doesn't demonstrate significance at all. Mm-hmm. Which is possible because when we publish, we don't want to just publish things that affirm something or studies that change the way we think. Like if we are demonstrating that something we already know to be true is true and that we're not making any new discoveries, knowing that is helpful because it's truth. The reason why we do studies is for truth. There isn't a goal to making these studies other than finding out what is really happening. And sometimes the truth is not interesting. So the fact that you could have a study that is talking about homeopathy and that says that it's a placebo effect, that is probably a legitimate study that says it's a placebo effect. Or that just says we don't know enough yet and we need to do more study. And that's a legitimate result. So the fact that they're saying, oh, well, our study got replaced by this one that says that there's a placebo effect. Like, I don't know if they quite understand the goals of research and what we're trying to do with this.
Yeah. Definitely reading the rest of the article, it doesn't seem like they do.
Yeah.
You want to continue?
Yeah, you can continue.
The first review, commissioned by the National Health and Medical Research Council, we should probably look those up, in Australia was favorable to homeopathy. Professor Fred Mendelsohn, a member of NHMRC's expert committee that oversaw the review process, concluded that the review conducted by a university research team was scientifically sound. I am impressed by the rigor, thoroughness, and systematic approach given to this evaluation. Overall, a lot of excellent work has gone into this review, and the results are presented in a systematic, unbiased, and convincing manner. So
one guy said that he liked the study.
One guy said that he liked the study.
So therefore it's legit.
And therefore it's legit.
So let me explain to them and to anyone in the audience who might be confused. But peer review does not mean you phone a friend and have your friend read it and then say that they like it. That's not peer review. Peer review has to go through like a panel of experts in the field. So when we say peers, we're not saying friends. We're not saying just people you know. We're not saying your business colleagues. We're saying Like, this is a board of experts that are all saying, yeah, this study was done well, or this study was not done well. But calling up one person or just getting even one person on a board does not sufficiently review a study. This one person does not make the whole panel. So even if you got one person on the panel saying that they liked the study and the rest of the panel had problems, like these people discuss it and they talk about reasons why a study should or should not be accepted by a journal. And they're not, like, they might have had a panel where this one person did agree, but I doubt that the rest of the panel agreed, because they would say, if they were peer reviewed, they would be happy to say that they were peer reviewed and that they made it through. But they never say that.
Mm-hmm. However, the NHMRC then commissioned a different group, Optum Insight, to conduct a second review, using different criteria and imposing research standards that even drug trials don't have to meet. The NHMRC decided that only studies that involved at least 150 people could be considered for inclusion, even though the group regularly carries out trials with fewer participants. As a result, 171 studies that had shown that homeopathy was effective were immediately discarded, and the second review ended up relying on just 5 studies that met these new and exacting standards. Each of the 5 remaining studies concluded that homeopathy was ineffective. So, sample size is important. Sample size is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
That's a normal thing. Like, they're presenting, they're doing the Trump voter thing, which is, presenting something as normal as that is insidious and out to get you.
Oh no, making our standards more rigorous so that we don't approve bad information is suppression.
Mm-hmm.
How could we make our standards better for science?
This tells me that the first study, even though they didn't directly say it, was based on something without a significant sample size.
Yep. I'd like to know the funding for these studies too, because that could tell us a lot. There are a few things that we look for in good studies, and I'll probably do videos down the road about how to evaluate studies and what we look for in a good study. Funding is very important, knowing where they got their funding from, if there are conflicts of interest, because I'm willing to bet with stuff like this, they probably had some conflicts of interest.
Oh, yeah.
In producing these studies. Like, if you are profiting off of the results of the studies, there's a conflict. And I would be hesitant to believe that particular study and trust that study design. So,
yeah. I mean, I think one day we're going to look back on this and think of it the same way we think about, studies done by cigarette companies about how dangerous cigarettes were. They're not. We swear they're not. We recommend giving cigarettes to your 12-year-old, help them with their stress and anxiety.
See, we did a study on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But if you read the study, you can see that the design is terrible. And I don't know if any of you were in Scientist Mel's stream this morning, but I was there, and I love Mel. She does some great work. But we were talking about a study that I'm probably going to go over on my channel as well, talking about nebulizing hydrogen peroxide, which is a new thing. But reading the study, like, just at a glance, looking at a study like that, you think that it's legitimate. You're like, oh, okay, they show this association. But then you read through the study, and it's horrendous. The study design was terrible, not even addressing, like, the stats that they use, because I don't even know what stats they use. But the study design is worse than you would see, like, a 5th grader do at a science fair. Like, I know children who can do better study designs than that. And, like, these people are trying to be published, and they're trying to influence global health. And it's so, so dangerous. And I don't think anything bugs me more than people who get into professions and have no ethics and have no problem just doing things for their own personal gain. It's disgusting.
Absolutely. Maya Atkinson just said something I was thinking. It's like Answers in Genesis promoting their own data.
That's so true. Yeah, and I kind of want to ask, you, because we're coming at this from multiple perspectives. But how do you feel about people who, like, I guess, what do you think the motivation is for people to pursue homeopathy as a career?
As a career,
Like, why would people
I think
become
it's a
homeopaths?
mixture of things. I think it's some people who have, figuratively drunk the Kool-Aid on it. People who were influenced and brought into homeopathy as first as a patient and then developed it. And then I see other people who are also scared and trying to regain control and trying to pass on that regaining of control to other people. And again, this comes back to medicine is scary. Being a patient is scary.
Mm-hmm.
And what this is selling you is a peace of mind that comes with the belief that you are, in fact, in control, that you know what's going on, and that it's all simple. And
Yeah,
people are going to fucking die because of it.
yeah. And I think from another perspective, I think a lot of people also, and I don't think this is something that they're doing consciously. I think it might be subconscious on their behalf, but the idea that people want to be doctors for whatever reason, I'm learning, the more and more I get into this, I'm learning how scary it is to be a doctor and how awful the field is a lot of the time, because it's an incredible amount of responsibility. It's an incredible amount of not knowing what you're doing, and like being responsible for a lot of people. It's a scary field to go into. And the amount of respect people are getting in medicine is no longer where it used to be, which is, it has its advantages and disadvantages for the field. I don't think doctors should be treated like gods. That's insanity. But I do think that there's a minimum level of respect that you should give to doctors, and the amount of work that they go through to get there. But for some reason, people like want to experience being a doctor. They want whatever respect they can get from it, whatever credibility they think they can get from it, but they don't want to do the work to get there. They don't
Mm.
want to be legitimate about it. And I don't know if they or I don't know if they consciously know that they have that ego problem and that they want the ego gains without doing the work. But like, there are easy paths, like, to someone who doesn't know what a homeopath is, they can say that they're a doctor of homeopathic medicine. They can say that they're a doctor and people will take them seriously. But what they're not getting, so they're getting the respect, they're getting this chance to play doctor without doing the work and without the responsibility. Because when they're treating people with these and they give their disclaimers on their websites saying that you need to consult your doctor, this isn't actual medical advice, in small print that nobody can read, they're not taking responsibility for any of these patients that they're giving care to. Like, even I, as a medical student, I have malpractice insurance. If I do something wrong, that's on me. And actually, it's on me and it's on my attending physician, the person supervising me, it's on them. So, like, as a doctor, everything you do is on you. The buck stops with you, including if your medical assistant messes up. If, like, anybody in your office that is directly working under you messes up, that is on your license. The buck stops with you. And I think people want the respect, but they don't want the buck to stop with them because it's scary. It's absolutely scary. That got really deep for a second.
No, no, we're probably going to have to get deeper. Purple rhymes with orange said something interesting in the chat there. Would you care to put that up if you don't mind? So
Yeah.
I definitely agree with this. And I think Ben can touch on this more than I can. But the problem is that people don't understand that if you can get something down to its chemical components as to far as medicine goes, that means you can be a lot safer with it. Like, just you're you can't control dosage very well if you're just peeling off willow bark and boiling it for tea. Controlling dosage is hard in that case.
Yeah. And Maya's correct. People have died from drinking too much water. It happens frequently. And cyanide is natural. And also, this is a weird little thing that I learned this week. but there's an anticoagulant. So we use a wide variety of natural things. We extract the chemicals from it and then make the drugs so we can use them in safe dosages.
Mm.
But the drug eptifibatide, also known as integralin, is an anticoagulant, and I learned it comes from snake venom. The southeastern pygmy rattlesnake.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's snake venom.
There's good money to be made in milking snakes.
Yeah, but it's a very helpful medication. It saves a lot of lives, but it comes from a rattlesnake.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot of things we can do with these natural substances, but we need to purify them. We need to make sure they're in proper dosages. We need to regulate them so that we're not giving people weird concentrations of just like pure snake venom.
Yeah.
Because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But there are some applications, but you just need to be careful and you need to regulate it, and don't go to a homeopath. But
last
so
paragraph.
yeah, let's do the last paragraph and then we'll go on to the next article.
A homeopathic group in Australia is calling for an independent review and wants the NHMRC to answer charges of scientific misconduct, procedural breaches, bias, and conflict of interest. It's also pressing to have the first review, demonstrating homeopathy proof, published. So this is a very misleading statement. A homeopathic group. No name, no link, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This wants to present itself as an article, as a news article, but this is a propaganda piece.
Oh, absolutely.
Fundamentally, it is a propaganda piece. It is not seeking to educate. It is seeking to convince you.
It's marketing, just like the other one was. Like, these people are not immune to this business. I mean, you look at their website, they are selling new things. Like, they are selling classes, they're selling homeopathy appointments. They are selling this to you.
Yeah. And if they can convince you that they have the answers, your wallet's theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if all of them are intentionally doing that, but it's what they're doing.
And something else, like the fact that they're convincing people that they're taking their health into their own hands,
which should be terrifying.
Which is terrifying. But also, what you're actually doing is you're taking your health from the hands of somebody who is qualified and putting it in the hands of somebody who is not qualified. Yep. You are still not in control of your health. You are still trusting somebody else with your health, and you're trusting somebody who is not qualified.
And this is what medicine needs to address. Like, the medical professions in general need to address. Their patients are scared. And
yeah,
there are ethical ways to discuss someone's health with them in an affirming way.
Yeah.
But God damn it, you gotta stop leaving just the comforting aspects of medicine to complete wackadoo.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I agree with that. I think, and I mentioned this in my live stream last night, and you were there, but this idea that it comes from palliative medicine, and palliative medicine is kind of similar to hospice, but hospice being where if someone's terminal, you give them comfort care and stuff, and you kind of do that. Palliative care is often used a lot for older people, but I think the principles of palliative care can be applied to other areas of healthcare as well, because it centers around having conversations with a person about what their goals are for their health, what their expectations are, what they want out of their bodies and their lives, and being able to come up with treatment plans that accommodate those specific needs that they have. Like, I used the example of, I'm not going to run a marathon tomorrow. I don't need treatment that's going to help me get out there and run a marathon. That's not my goal. But my goal, I need to be able to go to my job. I need to be able to walk around the hospital. There's certain things in my life that are important to me, and I feel listened to if someone can find a therapy, it's like, okay, this might not completely relieve you of your chronic pain, but it will make it so that you can go do your job and the things that you find important in your life. Like, do you want something that's going to help you spend more time with your children? Do you want something that's going to relieve your pain more? Is pain something that means a lot to you? Is like, there are many reasons why people might be seeking care. And I think we do need to do a better job at not just treating what we think the patient wants to have treated, but actually talk to the patient and find out what is important to them and how we can address that for them specifically.
Ben,
Yeah.
they have an article entitled The Power of Crystal Healing.
Oh God, we'll have to save that for another episode. But we're going to come back to like this website for a lot of stuff, because they also have stuff on Reiki. They have stuff on a lot of stuff. We're gonna be debunking them, but they do have another article that we are going to address today, and I'm going to pull that one up, and it is called 10 Reasons to Choose Homeopathy. So we're going to learn today about why we should choose homeopathy. So we're going to see if they can convince Johnathan and me to go see a homeopath. Well, we'll see. So it says homeopathy is the second most used system of medicine worldwide. It is safe, gentle, non-toxic, and non-addictive. Yeah, because it's literally nothing. As well as being holistic, it can be used from cradle to grave for physical, mental, and emotional issues. If your homeopath's doing a good job, you'll not only resolve the issue you're going to see them for, but often gain a whole new lease of life. And the first reason they say to choose homeopathy is that it treats just about any complaint. The list of illnesses homeopathy can help with is extensive. While it is great for short-term problems such as coughs, colds, and accidents, minor to major accidents, it is also highly effective for recurrent problems such as ear infections and period pains. It can nip a headache in the bud, but also rid you of headaches or migraines you've lived with for years. Chronic problems such as asthma, eczema, hay fever, and insomnia respond particularly well to homeopathic treatment. Long-term conditions such as angina, oh my God, no, and high blood pressure can be dramatically improved. Homeopathy cannot perform structural work, mending broken bones, for example, torn ligaments, but it can be given in conjunction with physio or osteopathy to promote and speed healing. There's a lot in this. Because do they not understand that these illnesses have physical causes? So they're saying that it can't treat physical causes, but then it can treat like angina. The most common form of angina is caused by atherosclerosis, which is a physical blockage.
It's
a
sort
physical
of like
thing.
how faith healers don't grow back limbs.
Yeah. But it can help with major accidents. So if I get into a car wreck, I can take some very, very diluted belladonna, and that's going to make me feel better. Sure. Okay. And then things they love to reference in this article and other articles, and they're going to get to this later too, is asthma, eczema, hay fever. They love to target those. Those are not just like blanket statement inflammatory conditions. Like, yes, it is inflammatory, but very specifically, these are IgE mediated conditions. So IgE is a type of antibody that you produce that is responsible for anaphylaxis. And anaphylaxis is not always I'm going to die from not being able to breathe. Like, that's a very severe form of anaphylaxis. But anaphylaxis refers to any IgE-mediated allergic reaction, and these are called type 1 hypersensitivities. And so there is a mechanism behind allergies, and asthma and eczema is also IgE-mediated. And so that's why we give certain medications, like an antihistamine that's going to help you, because histamine is released through IgE-mediated mechanisms. So these are not going to help with your IgE. So any other thoughts on this? Oh, actually, I do have one other thought on it treats any complaint, because it's so vague. It's so vague that, yeah, you can treat any treatment because it literally does nothing. So it's not going to target anything because there's no mechanism for it to do. So of course you can use it for anything. Because like real medicine has actual mechanisms that target other mechanisms. But if your thing doesn't have a mechanism and you're not treating a mechanism, then of course you can use it for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what else I could prescribe for literally anything? Being
Faith
stabbed
healing.
in the face.
Being stabbed in the
I prescribe being stabbed in the face as a cure to all ailments. You will no longer have any complaints of anything else.
This is true. Yeah,
And
being dead will make you not feel any pain ever
no,
again.
no, just enough to get some serious scarring going on.
Oh, well, but also if you make someone dead, they're not gonna feel pain.
So either way, it works. And if you're in too much pain to notice anything else, that's how you know the treatment's working.
If I sever all of your nerves, you won't know that you're in pain.
Yeah.
Did I cure your pain? Yeah. Did I help you? No.
No.
Is that malpractice? Absolutely. So just because you're giving someone relief does not mean you're doing something beneficial for them.
Oh, it helps you and only you.
And only you.
Only you. This is about making you feel special. One of homeopathy's strongest points is it treats the person rather than the disease. Oh God, I fucking hate that. If you have arthritis, it treats you with your arthritis rather than the disease. This is a meaningless distinction.
It's so meaningless.
So a homeopath can focus on your own. No, there is no "so" that goes with that because it's a meaningless statement. The idiosyncrasies of your arthritic condition, which makes it better or worse, where it is located, where it started, your pain threshold, your personality, what makes you tick. All of these factors will lead to homeopathic potentially different remedies. We have over 50 for treating. What? We have over 50 remedies, okay, for treating arthritis. This is poorly written.
This is poorly written, and also I would love for them to explain to me what they know about arthritis, because there are multiple types of arthritis. Like, are we talking osteoarthritis? Are we talking rheumatoid arthritis? Are we talking psoriatic? Are we talking septic arthritis? Like, septic arthritis can kill you very quickly.
It's caused by angry demons in your bones.
Angry demons. Is that what septic arthritis does? So if I get...
it's why it works. They're making holy water.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. I see where this is going.
Yeah.
But yeah, do not take homeopathy for your septic arthritis. You need a hospital and probably an ICU.
And also, if you suspect you have demons in your bones, please talk to somebody.
See, being a doctor back in the olden days must have been so easy. Just like, yeah, you have demons in your blood. I'm so smart to know that you have demons.
Do cocaine about that?
Yeah, do cocaine about it.
Also, it appears that you are suffering from... looks like alcoholism. I'm going to provide a stiffing brace of brandy for that, and that should clear you right up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm able to treat your withdrawals.
Hey, treat like with like.
Yeah, because that totally makes sense. Obviously.
Well, honestly, actually, slowly watering down the beer and alcohol and stuff would be a...
That would actually... be helpful, but that's
it would
real
make
medicine.
The beer stronger. I mean,
it would make the beer stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. According to homeopathy, it would make the beer strong.
Weaning people off of alcohol is making it more potent.
We can disprove homeopathy by watering down our booze, and then measuring our blood alcohol content. We should actually
do that.
We can do a stream called "Disproving Homeopathy," where we literally just get drunk. I'll order some breathalyzers. It'll be great.
That's hilarious. Let's actually do
that. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. We got plans to make.
All right. From Cradle and before, they're supporting neonatal homeopathy.
I don't like this one. I already read this one in advance, and I'm so pissed at it already.
I'll read it, and then I'll let you go first on it. Homeopathy can be used for all ages. These remedies work by kickstarting or by stimulating the body's own natural ability to heal itself. Oh, right. Yeah, I get where you're going with this now. Babies benefit particularly from remedies and are also proof that it works. Placebo doesn't work on babies.
That parentheses makes me so angry.
How do you know?
No.
How do you know it works on babies?
We'll talk about it now. Okay, here's my thing. Even if there were some way for placebos to not work on babies, it wouldn't have to just work on the babies. It would also have to just convince the people reporting it that it worked.
It just has to convince the parents.
Yeah. And you know who's shit at figuring out what's actually going on with their kids?
Their parents.
Their parents. I'm sorry, but most parents aren't good at knowing what's going on with a baby.
Yeah, because they freak out about everything.
Yeah. And everyone's like, well, I know my own kid better than the doctor does. Bullshit, you do.
You
Like, you
have
know, their
bias.
you know their little habits, you know what they like, you know things like that. But the idea that you could somehow know what a human baby is better than somebody who went to medical school for it, fuck you. That's
Yeah.
stupid.
My 7 years of post high school education so far are meaningless compared to being a parent.
If
I should
if
just be a parent and just not
if
just drop out of school.
you go to a pediatrician who you are convinced you know your child's medical needs better than the doctor does, you don't need to be going to that doctor.
Right? Yeah, that's a sketchy pediatrician.
Yep.
So I'll read the rest of this. Um, we can help treat a wide spectrum of problems from cradle cap to colic to constipation. In older children, as well, helping with most childhood ailments, homeopathy can deal with more psychological issues such as bedwetting or excessive nervousness or behavioral problems. Children who have regular homeopathic treatment need to make fewer visits to their GP, and homeopathy not only helps the ailment being treated, but also builds up a child's immune system for later life.
But notice
And
that they're carefully making sure that they're not telling you not to go to a GP.
yeah, in adulthood, homeopathic remedies are a gentle, non-addictive, non-toxic alternative to drugs. They are marvelous for hormonal changes such as puberty and menopause. They snuck in a lot into this one section.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you go first because
Okay, going back to that parentheses right there. Placebos don't work on babies? Demonstrate that for me. Like, demonstrate the lack of effectiveness of a placebo in babies in trial. I don't know of a study that's done that.
yeah, I don't know how you could really do a study on placebo effect in babies.
I
You
don't
could use it on the parents. You
see
could do it on the parents.
the thing is anything that a baby would need to be treated for, I would have ethical concerns over a study
Yeah,
that gave
absolutely.
people a lot of people don't get that, but how many ethical concerns go into medicine studies?
Mm-hmm.
There are limitations, ethical limitations on medicine.
So what do you think about like you being a business person? How what do you think about the making fewer visits to the GP thing? I know you said a little bit, but we can go
Okay,
into some depth on this.
that is a carefully worded thing to encourage people to still go to their general practitioner rather than giving up on them entirely. And I suspect the person who wrote this knew that that this is bullshit. Like, from that
Mm-hmm.
one line, that's what I suspect, because that is them carefully covering their asses so that you don't die as a result of not actually getting treatment.
It's also interesting because think about it this way. They're trying to say that you're going to be spending less money going fewer visits to your GP, but they're not mentioning how much a visit to a homeopath costs.
Hmm.
So you're probably doing more visits, if not the same amount, and you're paying the same, if not more, to go see a homeopath. So you're still spending the money. You're just spending the money to somebody who's not qualified.
Okay, real quick, I need to discuss my qualifications really quick again. Ox saw that on there. Hey, I introduced myself at the beginning of this. I know people are trickling in. I'm Johnathan. I am actually a business major who works in the medical field, doing.
So he's the one helping me talk about the business side of propaganda and homeopathy.
Yeah. I am very careful not to make any medical recommendations. I'm talking specifically about the business side of this.
Yeah, is there's a lot here.
Actually, I have
About the
one medical
business.
recommendation. Don't see a homeopath. Go to a fucking doctor.
See, that's really the only medical recommendation I'm going to make too is go see a doctor because I don't know you and your specific situation. So go see a
But
doctor, a
but the
legit one.
marketing in this says that says that, homeopaths know you better than a doctor would, because they think about treating you and not treating the disease.
Because they know your weather preferences.
Yeah, and the clarity with which you describe your stomach growling and being an angry animal, it, which you describe like you're a Mary Shelley knockoff,
And your dream interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we treat individual people, and this is an argument I see a lot of people say that they're against conventional medicine because it treats the disease and not people, which is absolute BS. And this is something that I've been dogpiled on Twitter all morning by the TERFs. And the thing I keep going back to, they keep trying to say that like you should treat people based on like these biological sex boxes that you assign people to. And they're like, oh, if you're not treating people based on this, then you're a shitty doctor. And like, no, I'm saying that we should treat people on an individual basis, treat their body, their anatomy, and not just assign them a random box. That is treating people as an individual.
That's acknowledging sex as bimodal and not binary, and that means the radical trans people win.
Yeah,
acknowledging that would mean you're right, Ben. So we can't do that.
I know, but it's like we do treat the individual in conventional medicine, and in fact, like we have conversations with our patients about their options for medication. Like, if we actually had a conversation this past month with one of our diabetic patients, saying like we have 3 or so options for medications we can add to your diabetic regimen. Here's the side effects associated with each. Here's the benefits associated with each. Which one do you think would work best for your life? Like, one was an injection, one was like a pill, one makes you pee more, and diabetics often have to pee a lot anyway. So like one makes you swell. So it's like, which of these is something that you'd rather have as part of your regimen? Like what is best for you as a person? So we do have these conversations. Also, what's best for your insurance? Because like, are you going to have to pay for this out of pocket, or is insurance going to cover it? We do have these conversations with people. And I think people don't really understand what conventional medicine is about, or what we do, the things that we do behind the scenes to make sure that you are being treated as an individual. So this point here is kind of moot.
Yeah. I get so irritated about insurance being involved with medical decisions, but I understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to be practical about this.
We're going to have a conversation in a whole separate video about insurance, because I have opinions and you have opinions.
I would love for my job to be moot and just defunct. I would love for my job to no longer be necessary. Like, that's the kind of America I want to be in.
Yeah. We ready for the next point?
Yep.
It gets to the heart of the problem. The problem with many drugs is they work by managing a condition rather than curing it. Bullshit.
This thing.
Steroid creams, for example. Okay, I'm going to have to go into this one. Steroid creams, for example, make eczema disappear miraculously, but all too often the body responds by doubling its response to produce eczema. They don't understand how this works.
What?
As soon as you stop applying the cream, it comes back with a vengeance. Do you know why it comes back? Okay, so you apply a steroid because, like I said, it's an IgE-mediated process. IgEs are antibodies. It's autoimmune. So you apply a steroid to calm the autoimmunity, to calm the hypersensitivity, because if you make sure that they're not having weird IgEs floating around that shouldn't be, you can control the condition. And then you remove the steroid, so therefore you're allowing the autoimmunity to take over again. And sure, yeah, you get a flare-up because you have IgEs floating around that shouldn't be. And it's not because we're treating a symptom. It's because we are literally targeting a biological mechanism of disease. Your body hates you in that case. If you have hypersensitivity, your body hates you. We have to tell your body to stop it. And so we have to do that by inhibiting the mechanism that's causing it. So in some cases, the symptom, and most cases, the symptom is related to a physiological process. If we target the physiological process, we target the symptoms as well.
What if we remove the patient's skin?
That would also do it. that
Yeah,
would be
I'm a
successful
genius.
but not
Okay.
helpful.
Ah,
Yeah,
but you wouldn't have eczema anymore.
that's true. You're right.
Mm. And you'd probably die because that's actually
So
skin's important.
homeopathy is not suppressive in this way. It looks into the causes of people's illness to get to the heart of why they are sick. If someone comes in with hay fever, my aim would not be to manage their steaming eyes and sneezing, but to help their body rebalance itself so they no longer have hay fever. I would love for these people to tell me the mechanism of hay fever, because I doubt they know what IgE is.
Uh, Angry demons in your lungs and eyes.
IgE is an angry demon. I'm going to make a meme.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make a little picture. Actually, Johnathan, if you want, have you draw a picture of like an IgE, but it's like a demon. That'd be an interesting little design for an emote.
For anybody wondering, I actually do draw. It's all been traditional so far, but I'm looking at getting into digital now. So,
so any other thoughts on this section? Oh, rebalancing your body is stupid.
It's the human body's bullshit. It's so much bullshit. Like, it's not a perfect working mechanism that just needs a little bit of help to get back in order. It's a thing that's going to die and was not made to, but is geared towards passing on genetic information.
This next part is infuriating and touches on something that both you and I can talk about. But it puts you in charge. Homeopathy puts power back to the patient. They are openly admitting the propaganda. It helps you take charge of your own health. For many complaints, a few appointments with a homeopath can not only relieve your symptoms, but also gives you alternatives. Forget reaching for the Nurofen for every headache or Renee's for your heartburn. I don't even know what these medications are, but that's fine. And then women don't have to take HRT if they're menopausal.
So the last statement is technically true.
Like, you don't have to.
Also,
but also,
you should have a conversation with your doctor about whether or not you should.
Like, do you really think that diluting something that's going to cause menopausal symptoms is going to relieve you of your menopause? Like, you can't alter you can alter your estrogen levels with plants, but that would be essentially the same thing as HRT. If you gave a therapy that increases your estrogen.
Not as reliably controllable.
So should I take homeopathy for my gender dysphoria? Can I, instead of going on testosterone, can I just do homeopathy and then that'll increase my testosterone levels?
Yeah, we'll make you a steak milkshake so you get lots of protein, and then we'll water it down like a few times.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
My homeopathic HRT. We should actually do a video on that too. Homeopathic HRT. That's terrible. Don't do that.
How much would a consultation cost? Because if you could get one done over the phone, I would love to listen in on that.
I think they're expensive.
Yeah, probably are.
But we'll see.
But it would make for good
Maybe
content.
We can do that down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to? I mean, we already talked about the putting power back in the hands of the patient.
Again, this is the entire marketing concept behind homeopathy. It takes a scary concept like illness and makes you think you have more control over it than you do. Being a human is scary.
Yeah.
We are fragile things that are killed very easily.
Mm-hmm. By our own bodies a lot of the times too.
Yeah. Yeah, for the record, if you're allergic to peanuts, it's not the peanut actually killing you.
Like, it's yourself.
It's yourself. You are in a way that is not victim blaming. You are killing yourself.
Your immune system hates you.
Yep.
All right. Number 6, more power in your batteries. So homeopathy can charge my batteries. So I don't need to go buy batteries anymore.
What about my cell phone? Because, you have them for a couple of years and they start having not good as a charge. Can homeopathy make my cell phone do better?
Yeah, it can. Sweet. Absolutely. That's what they're telling us. And they have to be right because because they're natural health. They have to know things.
What is the best natural way to fix my cell phone?
I don't. Is there a natural way to fix a cell phone? I feel like that's cell phones themselves are unnatural.
Well, so are humans.
Yeah,
Yeah, everything about our lifestyle is completely unnatural.
this is true. So,
The world did
from
not intend for us to wear shirts. We need to go back to our roots.
I feel like we don't really need to address this point super in depth because literally it just says that it'll give you more energy, and that's totally subjective.
Yep.
So there's not really a way to demonstrate that this does or does not give you more energy.
I mean, it is so beyond bullshit. Like, what am I even supposed to say about that? That is such a meaningless phrase.
Yeah, it's
That means
subjective.
nothing.
Number 7, it eases chronic complaints. Many long-term diseases such as diabetes and heart problems
Oh,
can
dear
benefit
God.
from homeopathic intervention. Remedies
If
can be
you
used
have
here. Remedies can be used in conjunction with existing medication to reduce dependency, ease side effects, and generally make life more pleasant. Okay, so
And
they're
this is them
sliding that
covering
stuff
their
in
ass
there.
again. They are
Yeah,
carefully covering their ass again. But this is dangerous. This is propaganda. And this could get somebody killed. And the fact that they feel the need to put that in there tells me whoever the fuck wrote this knows better.
oh, absolutely they do. It's a scamming at best.
Mm-hmm. This is scamming while still trying to cover your ass.
And I'm going to address this because I've had 2 comments now about it. We can talk about Canada. I will do an episode on Canada. I don't know when. We'll figure that out. But since you are requesting, we will make that happen. Yeah. Anything else on the chronic complaints? I mean,
No,
it's about
no,
the same as everything else.
Damn. Damn.
Okay. Protection factor. So this is something that people would use to, like, I think they have homeopathic vaccines, which it's a whole nother topic. But regular homeopathic treatment can help you ward off the sickness that may lurk in your future by improving your overall state of vitality. What even does that mean? And immunity. You could fend off blood sugar problems, even heart disease. Well, I mean, you can do that with lifestyle changes, so that's not homeopathy. Homeopathy can treat your susceptibility to certain diseases, be it a family tendency to allergies, for example. They love to use allergies, or susceptibility to keep going down with the same colds year in and year out because your immune system is insufficient. This is particularly the case for children. If treated early, your child could fend off the genetic likelihood you've given them of succumbing to hay fever. Homeopathy
They
cannot
want you to
treat your
feel
genetics.
guilty about this. They want you to feel bad and feel.
They want you to feel bad for your genetic predisposition to autoimmune diseases.
Well, because you gave it to your kid. How dare you?
How dare you give your kid allergies? Also, like, that's a condition that can easily be managed.
Yep.
And I know this is
often it's managed with over-the-counter shit. Like,
yeah, and like a lot of these talking about the blood sugar and heart disease, I think they're intentionally bringing up these conditions because there is a lifestyle component. So we know that certain dietary and exercise factors and smoking play into diabetes and heart disease. We know this.
well, I mean,
So
you give somebody some super diluted water and tell them to make lifestyle changes, and then they improve, and you say the super diluted water made the changes.
yeah, I mean, water does help you with that. And like, yeah, it's a lot of factors that aren't being explained here, but probably play into what they're talking about. And those are part of conventional medicine. We do advise people to make lifestyle changes. There's certain criteria. If you're bad enough with your diabetes or your heart disease, that's no longer appropriate. It's no longer going to be helpful at a rate that is going to save your life. So in those cases, we'll say, yeah, you need to change your lifestyle, but also you need heart surgery because your left anterior descending artery is blocked and you're going to die in like the next few hours if we don't fix it. Like there's an extent where lifestyle changes are not enough. And sure, I would love to prevent things earlier. I would love for people to understand risk factors and understand that the choices you make in young adulthood add up, and they can cause you to be predisposed to these things down the road. But it's not always going to work, and it's not always going to prevent these conditions. So we do need to have medications available for people who need them. And they definitely are covering their asses here by saying that, oh, it'll just reduce your dependence on these drugs. But these people often need them. Like, they need medication. They don't need the homeopathy. Take away the homeopathy, and I'm sure their condition will not be any different.
Just though, can you imagine being someone's primary care physician, doing an interview with them, making sure everything's okay, and then finding out they're going to see somebody for homeopathic treatment? And
Yeah.
like you're stuck there wondering, do I tell them that homeopathy is bullshit and they just leave and not seek actual medical treatment?
Yeah. I can't tell you how many cancer patients we've had that have refused cancer treatment in favor of naturopaths. So many. And there's one guy was one of them, went for treatment in Mexico, got a blood transfusion, had a severe transfusion reaction. And the thing was, like, not a lot of this was disclosed. So he went to multiple hospitals. People couldn't figure out what was going on. This guy was in like severe kidney failure. He had a lot of other things going on. He had metastatic cancer. And like, you need to disclose this, because if you had a bad blood transfusion, we need to know. We can do things about that. But
Yeah,
and
but
we had another guy.
if you don't even
Yeah.
know that he had a blood transfusion, like,
Yeah.
what
And
are
we
you
had
even
another
supposed
guy
to do?
who ended up dying anyway, but he didn't want to disclose to us that he ate plants in his backyard. And his wife was the one that disclosed that. And we were able to start treating him, but it ended up not working out in his favor anyway. And he died from liver failure. But we need to know about that stuff. We need to know. And these natural remedies they're not enough for you, and they can often cause a lot of problems. So all the stuff that they're saying here is ridiculous. This next section is something else. This is getting into some weird woo, interesting, kind of almost religious stuff here, saying it helps you get through the tricky patches. Homeopathy isn't just a one-shot wonder. As well as helping your existing complaints, it can be there waiting in the wings for if and when you have to go through difficult times. For bereavement, for periods of prolonged stress, divorce, redundancy, exams, it can help you deal more healthily with emotional trials so they don't take their toll of you physically. So they can help me with divorce.
Don't you know divorce is caused by demons in your blood?
Divorce is caused by demons in your blood. I hope somebody is clipping this. Tons of mice. I hope you're on that. But yeah, instead of handling things emotionally, like going to a therapist and like being able to feel things in a healthy way, you should just go see a homeopath. And okay, disclaimer. Are all natural medicines bad? No. But I'm going to say all naturopathy is bad because they are not experts. They are not actual doctors. Their products are not regulated. So I would say all naturopathy is bad. Not all of it necessarily for scientific reasons. Some of it can be useful, but their marketing's bad. Like, their business model's bad. Their ethics are bad. So yes, all naturopathy is bad. And then natural medicines, I'm going to say that this
depends
is
on
difficult.
what you mean by natural medicines.
Because the medicine that we use, like, there really is no distinction between a medicine that comes from a natural source versus a medicine that comes from a synthetic source. The compound is identical. But the thing is, I would say that the natural medicine is bad because you're taking it in, if you're taking something in its raw form, you can't regulate the amount of active ingredient in it. You can't regulate a lot of things with it. So I would say yes. But for multiple reasons, just besides that, like while the compound might be beneficial for certain reasons, the way that it's used in its raw form is a lot more risky than using it in a regulated form. So that's where how I'm going to say that. I know that probably muddied the waters a little bit, but
Talk to your doctor.
talk to your doctor. Yeah. Because I guess I can't really make a blanket statement, but summing it up in terms of all of its components, I would say it's bad. The last point is it kits you out for day-to-day ailments. You don't have to have a degree in homeopathy to use it highly effectively on a day-to-day basis. With a kit of a dozen or so homeopathic remedies, you can ease a number of remarkable problems. Remarkable number of problems, avoiding taking painkillers and antibiotics. Avoiding antibiotics, oh no. No. Give arnica for bruises, falls, and shock. I assume they're talking about emotional
like just
shock.
Emotional shock? Because I hope they're not talking about like the medical condition.
Because medical shock is you're gonna die. Like
That's
that
serious.
is like everybody dies from shock. No matter how you die, everybody dies from shock. So yeah, I'm assuming they're talking about emotional shock because you cannot treat.
Whoa. Arsenicum
treat
for
shock.
food Arsenicum?
Yeah.
Is that what I think
apis,
it is?
You can use bees. Like I think apis is literally like crushed up bees because I know they do that. I do think you can
it's an arsenic acid. It's arsenic trioxide.
Yeah, I think one of these things you can use, like, I mean, I wouldn't use a homeopathic antiseptic because that a diluted antiseptic probably would do nothing. But that is something that you could probably use a natural antiseptic and it probably wouldn't do much for you. But again, like antiseptics aren't benign either. Like the people who are nebulizing peroxide, like that's an antiseptic and you should not be breathing that. Like these medical treatments are not necessarily benign. So, I just, yeah. And
wait, is apis ground up honeybee?
Yeah, I think it is.
Because I look for apis and I'm just getting a genus of the honeybee. And
yeah, I think they literally grind
the
up the bee.
This is fucking how you would make medicines in like an MMORPG set as like a fantasy witch thing. Like
it's alchemy, but for medicine.
It's alchemy, but for medicine.
And then, of course, here, like, going back to the whole business thing, like the fact that number 10 is a kit that telling you to self-medicate with a kit that you buy from them. Mm-hmm. And then right underneath that, they have
I like how her last name
woman
is Leach.
and her contact information and her link to book an appointment.
I like how her last name is Leach. Like that.
That is hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Just damn.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts about this article before we kind of close out?
Fuck these people. Like, what horrible, irresponsible jackasses.
Yeah. Absolutely. Don't go see a homeopath.
I have no problem on record saying that. Homeopathy is bullshit. And it's awful.
It's awful. Don't do it. Go see a real doctor for any concerns that you have about your health. If you're not sure if something is an emergency or not, you can see a primary care doctor. You can go to an urgent care. Like if you're having something that's like a more acute issue, but probably not an emergency, you can go to an urgent care. Like if you have strep, if you think you have strep or something, you can probably go to an urgent care. You don't need to go to an emergency room. But then if you have something like you're bleeding out your butthole, you should go to an emergency room.
Real quick.
And so there's appropriate places where you can go for those kinds of things.
Yeah. Titan Uranus just made a comment that I can't tell if it's supposed to be a parody of the thing these people do or if it's an actual thing they do.
I think this is an actual thing. I would not be surprised if this was an actual thing that they do. This sounds dangerous. Anyway, I think we're gonna close out the episode here. So last chance to kind of shill things, Johnathan. I'm gonna let you shill
I'd
your
like you to
shit.
focus again on our little crossover we're doing, I guess. Student Dr. Ben is going to be a dungeon master for my channel while one of our players is out because I, quite frankly, don't have time to make a one shot right now. And Ben offered. So, yeah, we're doing this thing. It's going to be called Bed, Bath, and Beholder. Yes. Think of it as a
It's gonna be a
tale of
mess.
flat pack fantasy. And
It's gonna be a mess, and it's gonna be
it's going to
great.
be amazing. I will be playing brother. I think I'm going to change his name. I think he's going to be brother Osha Vim.
I love that.
Yes. Let me pull up his full character description because I was so proud of that. Like it is funny and irreverent in a way that is meaningful. So
Okay,
let me look
pull
at
it
that.
up.
Yes. Brother Osha Vim, cleric of the High Church of the pristine edifice of Hygeia, health and wellness and safety inspector.
I love that so much. So definitely tune in tomorrow for that. Go follow Johnathan on all the platforms. We got links in the description below.
Definitely if
And
you want
then,
to see us live tomorrow,
yeah,
because it's twitch.tv/nat1heroes, and that is in the description below so that you don't have to ask me, well, do you use the number one or you spell it out? Like, I don't want to fucking answer that question every time I say that. That's why it's the link.
yep. And
Because
then
we
for
smart.
everyone in the chat, I'm going to give a link for my new Discord that I set up yesterday. If you'd like to join the community, go hang out in the Discord. We have a good time. Share your debunks, share all your stuff. Just have fun. And with that, thank you all for joining me today on this stream. I really love doing these, especially since today was kind of my last guaranteed free weekend for a while. So I don't know if I'm going to be on next week. We'll have to wait and see with my new schedule. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you all next time.